Yeah, well, Adam is technically the host, but I'm your next.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming to the Hive tonight. Can we just give them a round of applause for hosting this event? They are really amazing, and at Smooth Grooves, we are very grateful for them. So if you would, in gratitude to their very kind gesture, here, are you able to pull out your phones and follow them on Instagram? I believe it's up here. We might be able to find it. It's at the Hive Collaborative on Instagram. Yes. If anyone finds out differently, let me know. Also, while you're at it, if you don't mind following smoothgrooves.show, we would much appreciate it. We're trying to have shows every month, and so that helps us get the word out to you people. They're free, they're fun, and we hope to see you there. So, what am I doing? I don't have my notes here. But this is not what I had in mind. Thanks, man. Thanks for taking that. Sick. Wow. So let me grab that, and then I'll find out what I'm supposed to say.
Woo!
Because I have no idea.
Is this a poem?
This is not a poem. This is not a poem. But speaking of which, who has been to a poetry slam before by raise of hands? Real fast. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, cool. So a poetry slam is a different experience. Poetry slams started in the 1980s because a group of people got together and they were like, poetry is really boring and nobody likes it. So how can we make it cooler? And what they did is they turned it into a competition so that there were prizes and people were competing against each other, and that kind of made it funner. And then they also brought people with diverse ideas and diverse backgrounds to come and share their stories, and they focused kind of more on the storytelling and the expression rather than just maybe the poetic devices itself. So, and it became something that's really, really cool. So with that, by way of introduction to poetry, if you haven't been to one before or if you've never been to one here, please feel free to clap, to yell, to snap your fingers if you like something. This is a very open, we as poets express ourselves, right? But we also want you to express yourself as the audience, because that's a big part of, yes, thank you. That's a big part of the Poetry Slam. So I'm gonna get started with a poem that you may know. I'm just gonna share a few lines, and we're gonna practice, if you don't mind. Sharing your excitement, snap, clap, boo, if you don't like something, whatever it is. I'm just going to share a few lines, and I want to hear a little practice from you guys. Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right, sick. It's by Eminem. His palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy. There's vomit on his sweater already. Mom's spaghetti. That's what I'm talking about. All right, you guys got the idea. Okay, perfect. All right. So we'll have people coming in. There may be a few more people trickling in, but I'm going to go ahead and get started. Oh, wait. I'm getting ahead of myself. One more thing before we get started. Can we please have 4 volunteers? Nice. Would you mind coming up? Yeah, sorry. It'll be brief. We won't make you talk or anything. Can we have 3 others? I can't really see much. Emma, Abby, come on. And then we need one more person. Ideally, someone who's not doing a poem tonight. In fact, that's pretty preferable. Oh, yeah, come on. Come on up. Okay. So, in true slam poetry fashion, we're going to have 4 judges, and you are the judges for tonight. Yeah. You may not feel... Yeah, give them a round of applause, please. You may not feel qualified to be a judge, but you are, because poetry is subjective, and you get to decide what it means to you. So we have some notepads, and we have some pens, and we're going to have you write down little notes on each poet. And at the end, we're going to have 4 categories that people can win. So number 1 is going to be comedy. Number 2 is going to be romance. Number 3 is going to be dark horse, or like something unexpected. And number 4 will be an all-around winner. Make sense? So four categories. Come get your notepads. I'll give this one to you. The more biased, the better. Oh, sick. Also, as a special fun treat we have from the Hive, we have a very cool lighting thing where you can decide what color you want your poetry to be. Yeah, let's give them some snaps, some yells. That's sick. Oh, and also, sorry, so many announcements, guys. But we have Orange Thrift here, and can we give them a little round of applause as well? So they're a little pop-up thrift store who decided to come, and you can check them out after the show as well. They got a lot of really cool stuff. Okay, without further ado, I'm going to share my poem. I'm not part of the competition. I'm just warming people up, including myself. I'll set back here. This is a brand new poem I wrote. It's about a duck that I saw one day, so I hope that you like it.
Which lighting are you going to use?
That's what I'm saying.
Let's go slightly pink. Going slightly pink there. I don't have a title for it. You can tell me what you think afterwards. That's the title. Clever. I'm a dead duck. Well, a dead duck's dude. Either way, there's a metaphor in something I viewed, because driving to work, I watched a duck die. Destroyed by another driver in the horrifyingly exquisite resolution my eyes only conjure when my pupils get wider. But what really sucks is this isn't the first time I've seen these ducks. Yeah. There were 2, but only one got struck. The other just stood there like his webbed feet were stuck, because his dearest duck didn't duck from the truck. You know how to tell a guy duck from a girl duck? Girl ducks are butt ugly. I mean, they're just brown and blend in with the ground, but to me, that's kind of lovely, because a dude duck's job is to look good. His job is to draw eyes of the predators and hunters who don't realize that there's 2 ducks. Dude ducks are supposed to sacrifice, take the bullet, throw themselves in harm's way so the girl duck survives. And as I drove past, this dude was awestruck because this duck had a duty, but he didn't show up. It was he, not his deer, who should have been trucked. His colorfully feathered head screamed that evolutionarily, he had failed. His darling duck was dead, and his life must feel stale, because I still drive that drive, and that duck still seems dazed, and he's still by himself, and he's in the same place, staring. And I don't think that ducks mate for life, so why is he still there every morning and night? Because it's clear that that lucky dude duck deeply loved, and the days with his dearest just weren't enough. And he's loyal in death, and it's noble to grieve, but that duck can't stop living, because he's got to believe that his dead darling duck wouldn't want it that way. Just to sit there, debilitate, die, and decay over what could have been? No, that duck's gift of life is too precious a treat to be wasted without ever moving his feet. So when your past quacks its last and opportunity dies, and your past flabbergasted, then just realize that if you're still around, you have gifts left to give, because the best way to honor that duck is to live. Thank you, everyone. Okay, so we have next Nathan Fry, who's going to come up and share a beautiful poem. And then we're going to have Emma Meckham. And we're going to have the person who is on deck come sit up here with me, if that's okay. So we'll just be able to kind of flow through, and I'll announce it as we go. Sound good? Yeah. Sick. Okay, keep in mind, judges, we want you to judge. That's all.
The letter W.
Wait.
Tell me when. The letter W. I was wondering, what words would I write? Words of warning, words of worry, words of weight. Perhaps I would whisper, whimper, or wail. Alas, I will warble and wobble. I am weary and worried. I am weary and worried, a wrinkled wreck. The words with which, the wounds with which I wrestle, weigh my wearied soul. I wonder, when will I win this war within? The world has worries, wounds, and wars. I wish my words would make it whole. But what words would I write when woefully wrong? What wrongs would I write when willing to work? Words warrant weight. I will work to write what will be of worth. What worries weigh the world? The weary wanderer waits to welcome warmer weather, wishing the winter would wane.
Yeah.
The widow watches her window, wishing the wind would wisp away her worries. The weak woman wails, wounded by words wrathfully whispered. Work without wages, war without winning, widowed without warning. The world is wrathful, wounded and walled. I am watching, waiting, wishing the world would be whole. Perhaps these words: warm whole wheat waffles with white whipped cream. Willow wood whittled into wagon wheels. Wind and weather, whales in the water, winged wasps. Isn't it wonderful? The world is wonderful. I get so weary worrying about words. Words can wound, but can also wield worth. So my wish, weave a web of wonder, not a web of wounds. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. That was beautiful. Next we have Emma Meckham, and we have Chris Davison on deck. Oh yeah. Please, if you can, just be kiss the mic. Just make love to it a little bit as you, yeah. Sorry, there's children here. As you talk, just be very close to it. That's all I'm saying. Sorry, it's poetry, guys.
This is an intimate setting. You're good. My name is Emma Meckham, and this poem does not rhyme, so I do apologize in advance. But it is entitled "I Was a Reader." I was a reader, a good one at that. I remember being 4 years old and crying over the big yellow book with my mom. Some days it felt like cat and dog were too big of words to read. The word grass still gets me. That was a teary day. Kindergarten came, and during free time, me and a few others sat on the ground, and I read "Go, Dog, Go" to them. Did I say all the words right? Probably not, but I was sure confident. Later that year, we did spelling on our chalkboards. The word was rich. Somehow, I was the only kid in the class to spell it right. I don't know how one would spell it wrong, though. But all my classmates, they all frantically erased their boards to spell it right. I slid mine over to the boy at my table. The aide caught me, but she just laughed. First grade came, and there were still words to be read. We made those little paper books filled with phrases like, "The cat was fat and the dog was big," and I read them all. My mom wanted me to read more. So did I. So they tested my knowledge by reading these bigger blue books. I was the first one in my class to read the blue books. After the first one, I read the next and the next until I lost the blue book about horses. They wouldn't let me read the next book until I brought back the horse one, but it was lost. I watched the other kids move on to the red books and the green books, so I had to go back to "The cat is fat" because I couldn't find my blue book. The week after school ended, we found the blue horse book behind my dresser. I wonder what was in those red and green books. Fourth grade was Mrs. Barbary, and How I loved that woman. We'd talk about books that we read, how we didn't like shopping, and how I wasn't supposed to jump off the swings that high. I came into class one day with Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows after checking it out from the elementary school library. These were the most advanced books someone could check out. The expected oohs and ahs came, along with jeers of, "You can't read that, it's too big." Mrs. Barber gave me a smile. We both knew I'd already read it, twice. I simply smiled at my classmates and put it in my desk. In that same class, 3 of us threw up in 1 week, me included. That's how I felt. That was the first time I think I'd ever really genuinely said a prayer. I was so afraid to throw up, so I prayed that I wouldn't. I can imagine my pale, clammy face now. I threw up, but I remember feeling a lot better afterwards on the car ride home. I remember knowing that my prayer was answered, even if it wasn't the way I expected. In that class, Dylan called me fat. That hurt. I'd never seen Mrs. Barbie that mad at anyone before, but she was on the behalf of my crying 9-year-old self. He apologized. It's okay. And it was. We were 9. In that class, we had a party. Everyone brought treats, and someone brought chocolate frosted cupcakes. We had finished our assignments for the day, and now we got to relax, eat treats, and watch an episode of The Magic School Bus. Everyone was doing something funny or saying funny things, and I looked down at my chocolate frosted cupcake and thought, I think it would be really funny if I smashed this cupcake into my face. And I did. And the class roared. Mrs. Barbie roared. She even took a picture. It made it into the end of year slideshow. I washed off my face, but for the rest of the day, my nose still felt sticky. A triumphant sticky. I'd never trade that sticky. 6th grade PE rolled around, and before we could play dodgeball, we had to run around the gym as much as we could in 5 minutes. I usually had the least amount of laps. Some kids would call out 11 or even 12. Emma, 5. It didn't bother me too much, but one day I remembered that I was fast. I forgot about pacing myself, and when they said go, I sprinted. I lapped the fastest kid in the class. Of course, I burned out shortly thereafter, but it didn't matter. Emma, 7. Yeah. But they all knew I could be fast. 10th grade class signups. I signed up for tutoring 3rd hour in Mrs. Barbie's 4th grade class. Her hair was short and gray now, but she still was my hero. She was still witty, and I wished that my 10th grade math was as easy as the 4th grade math I helped those kids with. I wished that the computer lab still had Oregon Trail instead of weird math games. I liked those kids, and I'm impressed by who they've become. 11th grade, we read Fahrenheit 451. I found it enjoyable, but I liked the assignment that came after even more. Write a 4 to 5 page paper giving this book an alternate ending or an epilogue. Mrs. Miles read examples that she liked from former students who were known for being good writers. Usually, a high score on this paper will be a 94 or a 95. I got a 97, and I deserved it. That was a good paper. I know deep down that I'll never write a paper quite as good as that Fahrenheit 451 paper. 12th grade, I was tired and ready to graduate. I remember the class before us throwing their caps at graduation and cheering with my 3 best friends. We're seniors now. I suppose we were. My natural abilities and luck had gotten me this far, but when you've been reading at a 12th grade level since 3rd grade, by the time you get to 12th grade, you're not special anymore. Emma, maybe you're just not as good as you thought you were. Things became a haze, and I don't know how I passed any of my classes. I was set up to be amongst the top 10 GPAs in my graduating class. I was 15th. My brains were gone, but at least I'm still funny. I was actually really hurt when I didn't get picked as class clown. I cried about it for a day, but then it didn't matter. I told my teacher I was depressed, but I promised him that I would never kill myself. I got a 3 on my AP English test, a B on my college algebra final, and I was done. Off to college. My roommate seemed so nice in the email, but I was 18 and I didn't know she would yell at me for using her cake pan. I didn't know I didn't know that she'd call me an evil person for not voting in the 2016 elections. I didn't figure out my absentee ballot in time. I forgot my key to my apartment at 7:30 in the morning after cleaning a building on campus. I didn't know what to do, but there she was, and she had an early job too, and she looked at me and asked, "You get locked out?" I nodded and expected a lecture. "Come on, darling." And for some reason, that phrase left me floating, walking back into my apartment. She had never been that nice to me. It was nice to hear that. I was 18, and a girl I barely knew from high school died in a car accident. She had a baby girl, and she didn't deserve to die. But I sat fully clothed in the empty bathtub, screaming at heaven that I did, and that it should have been me. I was grasping for a connection that I didn't have a right to have. That wasn't even there in the first place. And when there were 8 cops in my bedroom, they told me and my roommate to leave. "Oh yeah, no worries," she said. But I'll never forget the look of disgust on her face. I didn't know what she dealt with. All I knew is that we took the same medication. And that night, my eyes were so heavy, but I was too scared to close them. My brother had a daughter on the way, and he didn't know what to do either, but he still picked me up from the ER. And we got McDonald's on the way to his apartment. And I've gone on enough, and it might seem because that's where the story ends, but the truth is, I don't really remember much after that. Thank you.
Thank you, Emma. That was moving. Next, we have Chris Davison, who has already chosen his light pattern. Here it comes. Ooh, nice choice. And then next, we'll have Nicole Utley. So if you want to be on deck, you can come sit up here.
Any chance we can lower this? So there I was. I've been punched in the throat 0 times. I've been to Mexico once. Twice, I've convinced myself that cheese ruffles are laced with cocaine. 3 is the number of licks it took for that creepy owl from the Tootsie Pop commercial to get to the center. Owls don't even have teeth. 4 of my friends are liars. They say they don't pee in the shower. I can't believe them. I can look at you 5 different ways. I'm about to hold my breath for 6 seconds.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5, 6.
I just breathed out for 7. 8, I have nothing related to that number, but check this out. This is my scapula. 9 rhymes with fine, which obviously relates to me. 10 is cool. I just made that last 10 seconds awkward. 11 was when I was baptized. I listened to Ironic by Alanis Morissette probably 12 times in my life and claim it to be my favorite song. I still don't know all of the lyrics. How ironic. Triskaidekaphobia, that's a fear for the number 13, which leads me to think, were they just born with that? Like it's a gene that you're born with, where you come sliding out of that womb immediately fearing the number 13? Doesn't make sense to me. But hey, I don't make sense to a lot of people. Some think I'm a really serious guy, but that ain't true. When I'm serious, don't take me seriously. On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being normal and 10 being pretty weird, I'd say I'm a 10. 9 is also German for no, as in no, you shouldn't try to hide who you are, even if it might be a little weird. Fear can cause people to not say what they're thinking, shrinking back into their shell as they wait for the predators to leave. I've seen at least 8 baby turtles hatch on a beach and instinctively run towards the water, probably not even realizing there could be birds waiting to pounce on them. They didn't seem to care. While I was mountain biking, I thought, sure would be nice to be wearing a kilt right now. More air breeze. Some people said that's a horrible idea considering the fact that I'd be flashing people coming in the opposite direction. Well, then don't look. Every time I pee, I practice my Kegel exercises, which reminds me, dude, start wiping after you pee. Don't tell me you haven't had a little dribble hit your undies. That's nasty. Check this out. That's my other scapula. My favorite muscle to say is the gracilis, which reminds me of that video, What You Talking About, Willis? I've been punched in the throat 0 times, but I'm most certain that it would hurt. These are my thoughts, and I generally speak them out loud when they come, no matter how weird they may sound, because I want others to do the same. I want you to feel comfortable speaking your mind and not feel like I'm staring at you like a weirdo. You probably are. I promise, I'm not judging. I want you to be comfortable saying the things that may seem uncomfortable. I don't want you to take me too seriously, even when I look serious.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All right, next we have Nicole, and up after that we have Brandon.
Okay. I wrote this poem at a time in my life when two big things happened. I fell in love for the first time, and I also got anxiety. I'm out of it, out of my mind. This anxiety is the crushing kind. Then you show up like a stroke of luck that I could not foresee. What a time to meet someone who doesn't make me want to run, who makes me feel like love could happen for someone like me. How'd this happen? How's it so organic? I'm bracing, waiting for the panic. It's a sudden panoramic possibility. Give me a pill. Get me a medic. I'm in my feels, then I'm apathetic. I'm a ball of tangled, torn, frenetic energy. Can I let myself be happy for one damn minute and just be in it? I'm sorry, love, when anxiety's your judge, nothing is enough. Butterflies, but they're in cages. A heart that races, then disengages. I might be happy, but I feel like shit. I might be in love, but I'm out of it.
Thank you, thank you. Next we have Brandon, and then after that we have Jordan, whose name, I do not know the last name. Yeah, Stout. Mr. Oh, okay. All right.
Have you ever stared death in the eyes? Those empty spaces, those blackened peepers? How close have you been to your own demise? How acquainted are you with the Grim Reaper? Would it be a surprise that I've seen those eyes and come closer than I'd like to my own demise? I'm saying goodbye to this world so wide. Unexpected he appeared and beckoned me closer, but I stood my ground, wagged my finger, and said, no, sir. The moment was won, the test of my resolve over. And to what heroic deed was I now the owner? What brought death with me to brush shoulders? Surely something epic as so penned by Homer. A Herculean lift of a monstrous boulder, saving a child fallen through ice, quickly growing colder. The tears of his mother giving me praise as she hugs me silent and sober. Let me take a pin and pop that bubble. Turns out my date with death was a bit more subtle. A moment bland, no mighty stand or grand struggle. No, just me on a date with myself, no less. A night on the town to relieve some stress. Alone in a mall with my Panda Express. Unaware of the mess that would beset my chest and soon put my resourcefulness to the test. Now, I have to admit, at times, I can be a bit spacey. My thoughts like butterflies, yearning to be cage-free. And once they're gone, I'm left high and dry, empty-handed at the exact moment that I need some information but can't seem to find the knowledge for the task in front of my eyes. And so as I sat there enjoying my food, apparently I forgot how to chew. Not something you ever anticipate not knowing how to do. But I know the sound of a challenged child choking on chicken teriyaki, do you? But it's okay, because I had some water at my disposal, which only added to my alarm when my throat denied the proposal. Not catching the wave down, the chicken remained local. I wanted him to surf, but he refused to go coastal. So up came the water like a coughing up baby. Was I starting to panic? No, maybe. But I could still force air, and though my breaths became heavy, my lungs a filling dam, and the chicken my levy. But at least in this case, my slow breaths were steady. 1, 2. The third breath didn't come, even though I was ready. Tick, tick, the timer began from when I'd go purple from red. And as I sat staring blankly, this one thought ran through my head. If I sit here long enough and do nothing, I'll be dead. Now, that wasn't me considering the notion, but me rather perplexed I was even in this position. And I know that death is in no way a competition. But would something as laughable as this lead to my extinction? And there, sitting across from me, admiring the mess on my table and shirt, the one with the empty eyes, making my own want to avert. Who knew on this date, for one, that death would be the flirt? But with a stroke of determination, I again became alert. I needed help, though it wasn't something I could blurt. Turned to my left. 2 tables, one full of teenage girls and the other a balding dad. I went with the latter, seeing the better option I had. And with no time for more thought, and I approached and I spoke, but not with my voice, because I couldn't even croak. I tapped on the table in true Brandon way. I forgot how to say what I wanted to say. Or in this case, I forgot how to portray the universal sign that one is not okay. The sign that something's blocking your little airway. And so I pointed to my neck in true Brandon fashion, hoping that in my eyes he'd see my true passion, my desire for help from my poultry assassin. And after smiling and politely saying hi, I think it hit him. I thought I was going to die. Are you choking? He said, with his eyes going wide. I nodded my head and prepared to collide his arms with my chest, unwanted visitor inside. And with only the strength that a dad can provide, he squeezed and I heaved, and the chicken took a ride, going down my esophageal water slide. Air rushed in. I was alive. Thus ended this teriyaki homicide. Death would no longer be my groom, nor I its corpse bride. The moment was won, the test of my resolve over. Now this heroic deed now had a fatherly owner. Thank you. I got out as I returned to my table to finish my food, if at all I were able. But I was dazed, in a dream. All this were a fable. I mean, did that really just happen? Was that a real situation I was just in? There's got to be some lesson to learn, but where to begin? I suppose not the least of those is this. Chew your food carefully, kids. Thank you.
Brandon, that made me giggle. That was good. Next we have Jordan. And then following that, we have Joshua Sykes. So come on up, sir.
To give you all context, once I was an EFY counselor, and thank you. Where did we find this guy? So when you're an EFY counselor, there's this thing that you got to do every Friday called Night Watch, which is basically where you have to keep all the kids in the rooms. You got to do that every night. But you especially want to do it that night because it's like the last night of EFY, and you want to make sure they don't run away to do nefarious activities. I will not say more because there are children present. So, I wrote a story about Night Watch. This story comes to you in the symbolic form of haiku. And I dedicate this to my lovely, wonderful dog. Light and sound check. Oh my gosh. Okay. Light and sound check, please. So said the words on my phone. All right. Let's do this. There's a certain room that I've been suspicious of. Commence sneaky cat. Ear against the door, I heard quiet whispers and entered silent. Oh, I just almost choked on teriyaki. And entered silently. Turns out that the boys were faking going to sleep. They did not see me. Guys, go to bed now. Ah, we have been caught awake. Please let us repent. I scared them so bad, crap flew right out their bum holes. I laughed. Ha ha ha. You must go to bed. Okay, sir, we are sorry. Clean up all this crap. Thus goes the night watch. The boys are falling asleep. This was my TED Talk.
I was sitting here counting the syllables, and that was very impressive for those of you who caught the subtlety of that haiku string. Yeah, so now we have Jordan. Joshua, I'm sorry. I got your name wrong. Forgive me. Yeah, Jordan's a good dude too. But yeah, we have Joshua, and then we'll have a very short intermission.
Hello. Goodbye, shadow. I may never see you again. I say this to the tip of the wing as it reaches into view again. Like an angel in the torch of day, that shadow seems to open my way as I try to fly home again. In heavens, it's hard to believe that a shadow would comfort me. Sun's flashlight of darkness, endowing those who were burned. Gifting hope unto all who were scorched by that light. Those who feel lost in the bright, those who'd then turn toward the night, scarred by the brightness outright. Eastward toward night they take flight, yet northward I soon soar through the sky with prayers for guidance, insight. May I draw upon the shadow of fear through such hands outstretched. I'm here. The engine slows down, the whir winding round, and no longer I'm afraid of the fear. The fear to be here and to hear the words of my Father so dear. I feel you, I fear you for fear. My heart feels so broken, my yearning still choking. Efforts ne'er enough for the fair. But I fly still, breathing the air, and my body moves from where to where? Empty, yet hopeful, homeless, yet homeful. For friends I have, and love they share, and maybe that's home, right there.
Beautiful, thank you. Like I said, we have a very brief intermission. This is nice lighting. I like this. Oh, thanks. Thanks, Davis. So we only have we're about halfway through. We've got maybe a slightly less poets on the back stretch. But we wanted to do a brief little giveaway. So while we're doing this, there's a show coming up with the Hive that's called what again, Ken? Spinprov. It's improv, but you spin things like this. And it tells you what you have to improv. So if you want to learn more about that, check it out with follow the Hive on Instagram or on any other platform, and you can do that. But we have one extra space in here. Did you already sign up? Ooh. Speaking of poetry, right there. In lieu of Taylor Swift, though, is there anyone who wants to do it? To be in here? The prize is a $10 gift card to Chick-fil-A. So, okay, Abby, sick. Okay, you have to come up and spin then. It's you. It's all you. Abby, 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 Abby. Sorry, thank you. Okay, no, you just have to. You have to send it into. Yeah, you can spin around after you do it. All right, here we go. Can we do like a drum roll? Can you like, yeah, do the yes? Thank you, please. All right, here we go. The spin, the double spin. Here it is. Woo! Who is it? Dan? Dari. Who's Dari? Dari, welcome. Let's give her a round of applause. Dari, you are now the proud owner of a trip to Chick-fil-A. Okay. Wow, that was exciting. So, thank you for doing that. And we will now have a little bit more poetry. So, the next person we have is Aaron. Aaron texted me. Aaron, come do your poem. And then after that, we have Robin. So, Robin's on deck. What light? Here, come. Check it out. Ooh, okay. There's a pink wash. That seems right. Let's do that. Ooh.
This poem is this on? Can you hear me?
Just get really close to it.
Okay. This poem is called Overnight Oats. You could tell she was feeling better when the houseplants started to look lively again, when she switched from plastic to glass, and when the fish's tank was clean again. The music playing from her bedroom more joyful, the light coming in through the window, the kitchen window, greeting the monsteras, pothos, and bamboo with their favorite sunshine breakfast. You could tell she was feeling better when she started eating breakfast again. Eggs and toast. Whoa. Now y'all can hear me. Eggs and toast, overnight oats, but for her the change didn't happen overnight. The oats that she used in her breakfasts typically grow in the summer or the fall, and just like the oats, she had felt the effects of the winter. Left cold, neglected, and with a vitamin D deficiency, when oats are planted, they need to be placed less than 1 inch below the surface of the soil and become too compacted if you walk over them when the soil is wet. You could tell she changed when she stopped letting people walk all over her. She consistently weeded the area in which she grew of people and places and words that she knew would hinder her growth. And when it was time to harvest, she didn't compare what she had done with what the older, more experienced farmers had, because that would have done her no good. And even though the field was long, she walked down the whole thing, watering each seed one by one, and she kept going until she loved every part of herself, down to her shadow on the dirt, down to her footprints in the soil.
Lovely, thank you. Next we have Robin, and then after that we have Mick. Topham. How do you say your last name? Topham. Cool.
So this was inspired by the thought of like, what if the oceans disappeared and there were trees instead? So here we go.
And get as close as you can.
All right. Can you hear me now? Yeah. Woo, Verizon. Long ago, in times now past, there was an ocean, blue and vast, of water, fishes, salted waves that stretched from shore to shore. The voyagers, foolish and brave, built ships to cross the untamed waves, discovered lands and claimed them, formed new nations, went to war. The waters started to withdraw. The people, horrified, all saw their planet's physiology was changing for the worse. In vain were all their desperate cries. Despite their work, the oceans dried. The waters sank or turned to cloud. The fishes died of thirst. Centuries passed. The planet changed, for water still and soil reigned, and pushing through the seabed was a forest, something new. The ocean was no more, but still a younger thing appeared, until where once was water, now stood trees that grew and grew and grew. From deepest trench to highest reef, there grew every kind of tree, the beech, the maple, mighty oak, the palm tree, and the pine. The tallest trees where it was deep, the smallest trees where waves once leaped. They stretched their branches, formed a briny, leafy green shoreline. They say that if you go too deep, where whales and kraken once did sleep, you'll find a deer or antelope the size of a blue whale. And if you do, you must be quick, but soft so you don't startle it, and run back to the shoreline so you live to tell the tale. For creatures of the ocean deep, as they to shadows mostly keep, do not appreciate it when small persons come to see. You must be careful, quick and clever, if you dare to go and ever wander through the deepness of the ocean of the trees.
Intriguing. I love that. Okay, next we have Mick with a unique lighting setting of his own. And after that we have Sarah Vickers. On deck, come on up.
Sorry, it's very, very sensitive, actually. You don't need to eat it anymore. Okay. My old man is the epitome of man. So manly that he lives in a man cave. He's got this manly mustache, and he doesn't get scared watching movies about man-eating monsters. A true man's man. So manly that he could have ripped out a rib to form woman. So manly that he keeps his man card in his 4-inch thick wallet tucked in his cargo shorts. He is so manly that he would never write poetry or rock a man bun or get a manicure, and he thinks that any man that does is probably gay. And don't bother asking him to help with any household chores, because he'll tell you that right there is skirt work. See, my old man is so manly that I've only ever seen him cry once. And that was when his dog died, man's best friend. He is so manly that he never shared his feelings or opened up or nurtured. See, he was too busy manhandling me and my brother, talking to us man to man, telling us we just needed to man up. So here I am, a biological man with meaty man hands and a baby face that I don't have to manscape. But I'm reluctant to call myself a man, because while I do have a man brain, I also have man boobs. And though I do protect my manhood, my wife is the breadwinner. But man cannot live by bread alone. Sometimes I feel like a man-child. You see, I'm on this manhunt, spending all of my manpower using countless man-hours trying to find my place in this patriarchy. Perhaps boy is a better descriptor. I've had plenty of men call me Nancy boy and tell me to put down my man purse. And those same men think that I'm gay or feminine because I actually help with household cleaning. And I put down the toilet seat after I'm done using it. I guess all of this is just an excuse for me to mansplain to you that maybe it's okay to not be a man. Like maybe we need to focus less on being a man and more on being mankind. Like honestly, guys, the only man-spreading I hope to be doing is spreading some love to my fellow boys.
Truly moving. Next we have Sarah Vickers and then Abigail Overson. So come on up.
Okay. Who am I? I am no ordinary girl. No, no. I am a rainbow-wearing crazy girl. I take the world by storm by telling my story, so don't worry. I am no ordinary girl. I come in so fast, it'll leave you swirling around. When I'm nowhere to be found, you'll be left in wonder, who is that rainbow-wearing girl in this crazy world? I know that I will always be the rainbow-wearing crazy girl. I don't let anyone bring me down as I take on the town. There is light inside of me that is dying to come out. After years of hurt and pain, there is a rainbow rain ready to shine after the rain. Yeah, it's coming near, overlooked and forgettable. Here it comes, and to shout to the world that they won't forget me anymore. Not anymore. I won't be quiet any longer. Here I am, and here I am to stay.
That was awesome. Sarah, thank you. We have Abigail next, and then Chris Atkin on deck.
Once I take the pen to page, I balance on the rusted, beat-up bus stop bench edge. It's time again for the tears to come, because of the breakup, the shoot-up, then after the atrocity they made up, fear the intervention that took my grandpa up. I cry not because I'm weak, not because I want your pity, but because weakly those black bullets meet flesh. The same meaty muscles and backbones that every one of us all seem to have, regardless of race, regardless of color, regardless of size, regardless of who became before you. And I'm not going to apologize for going back to where I started again and again, because yes, I tend to mess up more than you. It's a poor habit, yes, but I collect reflectors from the road, scores of them too. Sister thought I was strange, and brother thinks some of last week's rain got inside my head somehow. You ask me if I'm confused? Yes. I just like to use what you give me, even if it's nothing specifically. I repeat myself, yes, but that's because I have no area of expertise, like how fireworks are made, or the impacts of our American history across the decades, or Syrian renegades. I have to stick to the recipes to make sure I don't skip certain ingredients, even if I don't want them, like battles of butter and fumes in the flour and sexually assaulting sugar, but also empathy eggs, and yes, even cheer me up chocolate chips. You beg me to step inside your life and, quote, see what it's like, but do you really think I haven't already cooked up enough mistakes for myself? Here, let's make a deal. You want my money, I want your drugs to help me feel, so thanks for the Ritalin, I'll not abuse it. Today. I have been so meticulous to measure out my limits, but that inhibits my ability to stand, so I let myself drop down. But I'm back up again quick before you can say breaking news. Not every white person believes in their supremacy, or so it's called. And while yes, I can still embrace my roots, I'm shown how to wrap my head in fabric from the spring and taught that my words can be beautiful by the morning. It's going to take practice, yes, and patience, yes, but still, all of my flaws and all of your flaws are laid out one by one. But for every flaw, I pick the detail that withstands it. Just as I stand with my brothers and sisters of other origins, I no longer wait for your sparks of approval, but hold my V sign for victory, because the haze was not able to hold me. Although after a little while, after I'm done holding on, I'll be gone on my own, going solo. Because what does a person do when he or she doesn't like a place? We move away. I don't like this place, so move away, duh. There'll be a hole left where I used to be. The whole part of me will be parting ways the way I used to steal the ceiling that covered the cold steel floor. They'll stop feeling fake sympathy and dealing their protection like it's something they're even able to give. And they're all still appealing for some healing, and I'm right here kneeling on the floor at night trying to figure out if I should say something. I'm kept keeling and reeling until they tell me, come back. I know they always will, because they always have. So they won't be surprised if I suddenly show up on a day tomorrow and say, hey, look, it's me again. And when all the chaos, when all the mask, makeup, facade, hood on, collar up, low cap, shadowed face is gone, but I'm not gone, this is all they get. Because from the beginning to end, I'm willing to bet that I could make some sort of joke out of all of this. How I keep leaving out the back door, coming back and leaving, but one of my greatest fears of coming back again here is to still be called cliche. For someone to look at me and just for someone to think this girl in every way is just like everybody else. She doesn't have a self. She's bad for her own health. They'll take one look at me, this girl, and she'll melt into the cracks and crevices, molds and the makings of who they want her to be, as if they can even tell. That I am honest, and sure I might stumble from a few hits, and no, I've never slit my wrist, so does it look like I even give a crap? No, but I do. Because I'm laying this thick brick by brick until I can trick myself to finally step back and say, there. What I made here is a complete exterior. Only this one seems to keep me outside of breaking through to start to improve the fractured interior. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. And now we have Chris, and then next will be Alexa.
When she left me for another man, my whole world turned to calamity. Forget the war in Ukraine and the global pandemic. In an age where crisis is just another part of the daily routine, this would be the end of me. I think most of us believe that the world will end in fire, that when our time comes, the continents will crack and the seas will boil, and everything we know will cease to be in a single sundering blow. But extinction doesn't work that way. It is a slow thing, a quiet dwindling, billions of tiny deaths that all take place over a couple million years. I took this class in college, historical geology. We learned the history of our planet and every living thing on it from Dr. Dan Stevens, a PhD who wore nothing but jean shorts and soccer jerseys and a single silver earring. He told us how the world ended, all 5 times, and we made note of every mass extinction event. I still have notebooks filled with horror stories, tales of supervolcanoes and climate change and a lost and lonely asteroid. He made us draw the geologic time scale, every epoch and eon on every test from Precambrian to Quaternary, 4.5 billion years all cramped carefully onto a single page. We covered all of human history, the Anthropocene, in 25 minutes on the final day of class. On the outside, it was a class about rocks, but really, I think Dan was trying to teach us just how small we are and the fleeting nature of every mortal moment. I think what I'm trying to say is that even though losing you felt like the end, this death is just one of many, a decimal point, swept up among billions of years of fading memories. Maybe what we had will leave some fossil record, the curious shell of a thing that used to be. Most likely, it'll fade away, lost in a cycle of beginnings and endings so much bigger than you or me.
Wow, that was awesome. Okay, next we have Alexa, and then we have Bo, and that will be the last poet of the evening. So, Bo, if you are here, come in and be on deck.
Alexa!
Okay. This poem is called Duct Tape and Glue. I know that every cloud is meant to have a silver lining, but today the raindrops on my face feel increasingly blinding. I believe that at the end of every tunnel, we can find a bit of light. But right now, the stone inside my chest prevents me from seeing anything bright. Today, I'm not concerned with whether my cup is full or empty, but worried why it's holding water when it's so cracked and old and dirty. I know I should focus my telescope on positivity and stars, but it seems useless to concentrate on happiness when it's so far. I cannot think of a genuine metaphor to prove that I am happy. The only words in my thesaurus are synonyms for misery. I know my marathon is not over, but I want to leave the race. Since this far from the finish line, I know I cannot win first place. I'm tempted to leave this play unwritten, finishing halfway through Act 3, since right now the sequence of events mirrors Shakespeare's tragedies. It's days like this I feel so out of place when I'm online and see that all my picture-perfect friends are doing fine. Without an aesthetically pleasing cropped life and bleached smile, I wonder if my experiences are even valid and worthwhile. I mean, was it a party if a live video wasn't streamed? Am I a law student if there isn't story after story of me reading? I know that every cloud is meant to have a silver lining, But today, these bright lights on my screen feel increasingly blinding. My mother says sometimes it's okay to admit that you're not perfect. It's all right to make a bed and breakfast for your negative feelings. Just remember not to let them become permanent residents. Feed them joy, swaddle them in love, then send them on their way again. Remember that sometimes it's all right to disconnect and turn away. Remember that if you're not happy yet, you can always add another act to the play. Even when you're being eaten alive by regret and sorrow, you're still breathing, and so you'll have the chance to try again tomorrow. These lives that seem perfect are being held together by duct tape and glue. We're not invincible, we're healing, and so will you.
That was lovely. Next we have Bo, and he is our last poet of the evening. So judges, be prepared to judge as needed here towards the end. After Bo, we'll have all the judges go out with Kessa, the lovely Kessa, raise your hand. And then they'll deliberate, and we'll do a little something in between. So without further ado, Bo.
Would it be all right if I shared two very short poems?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, thank you. One moment, please. That won't work. Okay. Oh, what dreadful gloom a hero hath fallen among us. For at recollection of his name did our hearts not sing within us. For we loved that dear full soul for the love he first gave us. Yet in the potent juxtapose of bitter and sweet the forlorn still mourn. But hark, shall we embrace these griefs for more? Nay. But let us recall his endearing deeds, that we may continue in them. Then shall his goodness endure longer than his name. The end. So this one's still a work in progress, but we'll see. This one's called Seasons. A gentle rain and soft wind, spring has come. A gentle touch and soft words, I will stay. And you, my dear, will come with no delay. As warmth and light nourish the earth, your kindness to my soul is an inspiration. And to you I owe my constant strength. Fruit and leaves from green to vibrance turn, ripe and full, beautiful and alive till the end, with silver hair, sweet and wondrous to the end. A seasoned log sparks and crackles, a seasoned friend in my arms cozy despite fractals. A refuge from all storms, my home is where you are, the end.
That was awesome. Can we just have one more round of applause for all of the poets? Great job. And I just want to say that I really appreciate everyone who came and shared their poetry. One of the reasons that I got into poetry is I started out going as a joke. Oh, you guys can leave. All you judges, go away. It started out as a joke for me, but then I went to a poetry slam and I actually really, really loved it. And it was quite moving to hear different people speaking about things that were close to them and vulnerable, and people from all kinds of different thought processes. And so that's something that's really meaningful to me. So I appreciate when people are willing to share things that are close to them. Yes, thank you. So while they are deliberating, we are going to do a fun little activity if anyone wants to, and there is a plan B, so you don't have to do it. But I would love to have a little freestyle poetry. We got bongos, we got people. I think those two go well together. So we're going to have the audience just share some words as topic ideas. And then, is there anyone who wants to do a freestyle poem? We got a couple people. Okay, let's have you guys come up. Anyone who wants to, and we'll see who we can get through before they are done deliberating. So yeah, we got a couple of us. We got Grizz maybe coming up. Oh, I'll be on bongos. Yeah, I can be on bongos. Yeah. Okay, I'll go first. Grab the bongos. All right. Hey, what's a word? What's a topic? Can we hear? Penguins? All right. We got Brandon. Okay. Penguin. Sliding slippery slopes, dropping down the ice into the water. Swimming blindly, there's a fish. Blub, 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 blub. Wow, that looks delish. I hope I don't get eaten. Thank you. Who's next?
Hey, give me a word. Gingivitis. Okay. They look at me in shame. The ginger, he's there. They can't seem to stop in place and just stare. I'm not an infection. I'm not some disease. I've got no gingivitis. I floss, please. Believe me when I say that I want to be your friend. I want to have companionship until the very end. But yet you walk away from me, and I don't know why. And I just have to say to you, I'm a pretty nice guy. But I guess you don't have to be my friend. Thank you.
That was impressive. All right. All right, give me a word. This is not going to be good. Bacon? Okay, bacon. Bacon. It's taken my soul away. The smell, the deliciousness, the crispness of it. I love bacon. But some days, I wish that bacon wasn't here on Earth. You see, it just makes me feel like that pig was sad. He probably lived till he was 2 years old. And then he went to the house. And not a nice one. Poor bacon.
Aviation. I'm scared out of my mind, but I think it's better if I do it out of fear instead of just not doing it at all, right? Aviation. Aviation? Oh, gosh, okay. So here's a situation. I don't know much about aviation. I just know that when I get into that plane and then I start to fly and I wonder why I'm even doing this, and I'm sitting next to this guy who's always farting, hopefully not sharting, and just hoping that, when we land, can we just make it a little bit smooth? Or maybe not, because I don't know what rhymes with smooth, so you can make it rough, do whatever plane stuff will make this go smoothly, exactly how this poem didn't.
Wow, that was lovely. Did I see one more person who wants to? No pressure. We got other stuff we can do. Want to? Yes. Let's do it. The youngest slammer here. Give him a round of applause.
What's your name?
Grizzly Raditz.
Yeah. Grizzly! And they give us a topic? Yeah, spy. That's so 90s. Okay, spies. Talk anything you want about spies. Or secrets. Spies are like... What? eyes. And they fly around like
flies.
And at Thanksgiving, they eat lots of pumpkin
Pies.
But then when they get smashed, they always
Die.
That was beautiful. I don't want to cut anyone off. Did anyone else want to? Okay. Excellent. Excellent. Yeah, you better get on the bongos, bro.
Hello. Can I get a word? Any word will do. Coleslaw. Every time I order fish, I get this same dish, this coleslaw sitting by my plate. I like the fish and I like the sauce, but the coleslaw is the thing I hate. It sits there, smelling of cabbage and little else that I like. And yet I still eat the coleslaw because I'm hungry and maybe I have a little spite. Thank you.
Lovely, lovely. Awesome. Well, thank you guys. That was really cool that people just freestyled. That was awesome. Yeah. They're not quite done, so I can share a poem. I have a few up my sleeve, my proverbial sleeve.
You do haikus.
Haiku, we could do that. I'll just share my poem.
Up next, we have Adam.
Thank you. But we might do haikus sometime too. We were talking about that. But this poem is called Dodgeball. And it goes like this. 2 words, dodgeball. It's easy to hear the call of the wild when you're wildly calling to all within your throwing range that they had better stay a stranger, because if they come within the danger of this war zone before I've thrown, they'll become acquainted with pain. It's another pleasant Saturday spent with sweat pouring into my eyes, disguising the world as a fiery inferno of death. In each fellow player, a goblin king, worthy only to lose his breath to the vengeance of my rubber ball's sting. And in my periphs, I see a shape shift, the forces of darkness beginning to drift, calling for vengeance to rain down swift. So I turn my head and I crack my whip and I send my missile on its trip. But as the rubber leaves my hands, I see that that is not a man. It's a little girl, and she's not even playing. In fact, she's on the sidelines because that's where she's staying to be safe in this wretched world that would throw a ball at the face of a girl. If only I could recall that torpedo of rage and save the sweet girl who sits there so brave, unaware of the rocket and unaware of the knave who fired the shot sure to make her face concave. But sadly, my bullet planted its kiss between the eyes of that sweet little miss. They say that hindsight's 20/20, and I have regrets aplenty. I failed a test. I missed a shot. I didn't tell a girl that I think she's hot. Once I threw a dodgeball at my brother, only this one wasn't made of rubber, and words have been known to cause a sting much worse than an old rubber thing. They say that hindsight's 20/20, and I have regrets aplenty. And sometimes I think that it's sad that we can't know the future before we act. But I'll tell you a secret only known to few minds, that if you know how to do it, you can travel through time and change some events that are in your life. Just go to bed and close your eyes and wake up to a new sunrise in a different time and a different day, and change the things you were going to say to, I love you, or I'm sorry, or I know I was wrong, or thank you for everything that you've done. And it's true that the past is dead and gone, so why do we sometimes let it live on, holding us hostage, hiding in our hearts, feeding on our fears, and tearing us apart? If we were meant to live our lives in reverse, we'd be walking backwards. And I think that that's worse than if we sometimes stumble, but still look to the skies. Use mistakes as your steps, and they'll help you to climb. Guys, thanks for indulging me. Sorry we didn't do haikus. But we are going to get the... what? Oh, I have a text. Sick. Technology is incredible. Here we go. Are you ready for the winners here? We have the winner of the romance section, Nicole, come on up, get your prize. For you, we have a very special picture of somebody's wedding. Thank you. And stay up here if you would. Yeah, we're probably going to get a picture together. The dark horse, we have, drum roll please, Alexa. Come on up. Thank you. I don't know what this is. So that's exciting. Yeah, it might be a fun thing to use. The winner of the comedy, drum roll, once again, please. We have none other than Mr. Chris Davison. Come on up. For you, we have a bust for you to keep your wigs on. Wow, what a likeness. Come on up. Okay, and then honorary, it's hard to talk sometimes, guys. Honorary mention, we have Erin. So we'll give her a round of applause. Erin, do you want to come up? If not, she might have not been able to stay. Okay, and then the final winner and the winner of the $20 cash prize, we have none other than Mick. Come on up. Guys, thank you so much for coming. Let's give these guys a round of applause once more. Don't forget to follow the Hive Collaborative and smoothgrooves.show on Instagram. We'll see you next month. And please come check out Orange Thrift, too. I'm sorry I didn't say that before. Yeah, so you're welcome to stay, hang around, check them out, and we'll play some music, and we can all just kind of chill for a little bit. Or go, whatever you want.